And now it's time for the Hebrew of the week. We are in the book of Ruth and chapter 2, and today is verse 8. See if you can pronounce the Hebrew here. Why, here's how I would pronounce it. Vayomer Boaz, Boaz, El root, root, it's Ruth. Halo Shama'at Biti. So, how do we translate this? What do you recognize? Well, we recognize Boaz, we recognize Ruth. El is two. I recognize the word for lo. It's written plene, or full, with a holum, a vav there, with a vav. This is not, which suggests to me that the ha must be the question. A question. Is not. I recognize Shema, hear, O Israel. Shema, O Israel. Tav is an ending I know. Wow. This is an easy one, right? So, Vayomer, Vav Patak doubling is a converted imperfect, Vayak Tol. It's really a preterite. And he said, and who is the he? Boaz. Remember, the subject tends to come after the verb in Hebrew. So, and said Boaz. This Vayomer is a very common form. If it's a converted imperfect, then the yod is a imperfect performative, third masculine singular. And he said, no funny business with Amar, so it is a call, or G, basic stem, converted imperfect, or Vayak Tol, or preterite, whatever you want to call it, third masculine singular from Amar, and he said, and Boaz said, El root, he said to root, and here's where the quote begins, right here. I had to kind of dance with this. It's not you here, my daughter. That's not a very good English translation, so I added the will here. Will not you hear, my daughter? Not is low, and then this says he's asking a question. This is like the question mark, except it goes at the front. They didn't necessarily have to have the ha to ask a question, but it's nice to have it for us foreigners. So, will not you hear? So, the tav all by itself is a second feminine singular sufformative. So, will not you, feminine singular person you, hear? And then biti is my daughter. So the hierik yod is my, and then bat. My daughter's a bat. Bati, my daughter. Okay, he says basically, will not you hear, my daughter? And now we have the next line. See if you can pronounce this. Here's my pronunciation. Al telaki lilkot ba sade aker vagam lo ta'avuri. Okay, so Al, you can call me Betty. I will call you Al. No, that's not the way it goes. Not important. Al is a negative command. This is not in commands. So lo is the word for not with statements. Al is the word for not when you're making a command of some kind. So that tells me that telaki is a command of some kind. By the way, this is a vocal schwa because it comes after a long vowel. Silent schwas, this syllable is closed, is what silent schwas do, and that happens in short syllables. So the fact that there's a long vowel here tells me this is a tela key, a vocal schwa. So I recognize the lock in the middle. This is halak, to go, and the hey goes away. What the hey? It just does it sometimes, and we learn to deal with these things. So the tav is a performative, and the hierik yod is a sufformative. It's a 1-2 punch. This is a second feminine singular form. With the tav, imperfect is my first thought, with a tav on the front and the hierik on the end. However, because of the al, I'm going to call it a jussive. There is no difference in the way it looks. It's just that an imperfect that is used as a command we call a jussive. It's not really imperfect, and I think in the history of the language there might have been some differences in the real distant past of the language's development. But by the time of the New Testament, most jussives look exactly like an imperfect. So it's a command: do not walk, do not go. So this is a call, no funny business with the stem, a call or G, jussive, second feminine singular from halak. Do not go, lil coat, to glean. So to glean, the impossible glean. So la is the word to. It's a prefix, and then lakat is to glean. Now, in English, where we say to dream, that's an infinitive, and so this is in fact an infinitive. It's an infinitive construct because that's the infinitive that can take stuff on the front. So do not go to glean. Basada, in the field of aker, in the field of another. I'm going to take this as construct. The of just fits. There's nothing about the form that would tell me it's a construct. I'm using the context here to do that. Ba is the preposition in. And so the comes from the fact that another is a definite other. And so you can insert the if the final word in a construct chain is definite, then the whole chain is definite. So in the field of another. Now, why is Boaz doing it? I mean, he could be doing it because she's kind of cute, humana. Who's this? Or he may be very noble here. It might be, there's some others out there that aren't as trustworthy. Stay in my field and you'll stay safe. Let's go with that one. That's more noble, right? We don't really know. The context doesn't tell us. Could have been both, right? They're not mutually exclusive. But stay here and I'll protect you. You are a relative of mine. Naomi's my relative. So it really makes kind of an obligatory for me to watch over you. So stay here in my field. Do not go glean in the field of another. Vagam lo ta'avuri. And also, so lo, I would have expected all in a way because it seems like another command. Do not go and do not cross over. From this field is the next word. From this place. And so why is it lo? Well, Hebrew has this idea of sequence, of consecutive, of a train of thought. And even though this form, the lo would say this isn't a jussive, this is just a normal imperfect. The lo would say that. But it's in a chain of thought, right? It's do not go and do not cross over. The context clue. It's a consecutive train of thought. And so this happens a lot in Hebrew, where even though a form is not the way we translate it in English, we put it a certain way because of the lead-off hitter. The lead-off hitter is a jussive, and so it makes sense in the context flow to translate this in a command way as well. Do not go and do not cross over. It's the sequence. And so Hebrew does that. And it's this little and that tacks it on, to the previous syntax, as it were. And it conforms, it chameleonizes into whatever the chain of thought would lead it to do. But this form right here, ta'avuri, we have again a tav on the front and a hirik yod on the end. It's 1-2 punch. It's a second feminine singular imperfect. I'm not sure why there's a sharuk there. Maybe you can tell me in the comments. Look it up in Gesenius. My Gesenius is still in storage. Anyway, that's my excuse today. So this is a call. There's no funny business here. Imperfect, second feminine singular from avar, to cross over. So don't go glean in the field of another. Do not cross over from this. Mizeh v'ko tid bakin im na rotai. Okay, from this. So mem, hirik, and there is a nun. Nun assimilates when no vowel separates. Gets sucked into the zeh and it becomes a doubled, into the zayin and it becomes a doubled zayin. So this is min, the preposition from. From this, zeh is the masculine singular demonstrative pronoun this. Don't cross over from this place. V'ko, and thus, tid bakin. Okay, so again, we've got a tav on the front, and then this nun here, I'm not sure. The nun is like a ballast holding this thing down. The nun is really meaningless. I'm not sure whether there's some grammatical terms, nun pedagogicum, nun energicum, the energetic nun. I'm not sure which one. I call it the anchor nun. It's holding this thing down. It's completely meaningless. There's no need for the nun. So basically, we have again a tav on the front and a hierarchy, 1-2 punch. It's a second feminine singular. You call it imperfect if you want, but in the train of thought, we're going to translate it as an imperative. Whether you call it a jussive, call it imperfect, stay close is the sense of it. So it is now this bet with a dogish in it. I thought, is this a D stem, a PL stem? Because the PL stem doubles it, but no, it's not. This is a silent schwa. This syllable is closed, so tid. And so the reason why this is a light dogish, it's a hardening dogish. It's a dogish lene, a dogish katon, it's a little dogish. Now, all it's doing is saying that you pronounce this ba. And it's just a beginning of the syllable dogish. It's not a doubling one. So this is another call, or G stem right here. So this is a call, imperfect or jussive, second feminine singular from dabak. Okay, so stay close. So, and thus stay close with na'arotai. So na'ar is servant, male servant. Na'ara is female servant. And then ot is a feminine plural ending. Now, it's written defectively because the vav's not there. But you can see the holum there. It's ot, and so it is a feminine plural, the servant women. And then the yod is my servant women. And so do not cross over from this place, and thus stay close with my servant women. Well, this has taken quite a long time, 12 minutes, to get through this verse. But this is the Hebrew of the week where we've made contact, first contact. Between Boaz and Ruth, and he says basically, why don't you stay in my field? Who knows what they're thinking? I think they're thinking this could be a match made in heaven, but maybe not yet. Maybe I'm over modernizing it. But what do you think? This has been the Hebrew of the week.